this video, I will be showing you common mistakes that chess beginners make so that you could avoid them and you could level up hopefully faster than I did. This video is for beginners, so if you're a beginner, this is a very important video for you. I will be showing you everything that you need to avoid and exploit when your opponents do them. So let's start with the very first one, which is moving the same piece too many times. White does e4 and e5, knight f3, knight c6. This becomes a common Italian game, okay? And after this, black does another very common move, bishop to e7. Not the best move, I prefer this, but this is an okay move nonetheless. Okay, this is called the Hungarian defense. And as white, you can do also pawn to c3. It prepares pawn to d4. However, the next move is a little dubious. Okay, black does knight to f6 and white does a mistake. He does knight to g5. As you can notice, this is a mistake, right? Now, the reason that this is a mistake, and of course computer wants this to be done, but why is this a mistake? It allows black now to just take you, okay? This is very simple, okay? So of course, first of all, you need to castle because there is this. And now, after you do the move, black can just take you, okay? As you can see, we'll touch a little bit more about this, but first of all, as you can see, black can just take you here. Now, let me show you the example. You take, okay, white is forced to take, and now you're forking, and this is just being purely up a pawn, okay? So these one movers of just moving a piece that has already moved twice, I can pretty much guarantee that you've already had this in your own games. Now, in addition to all this move, knight to g5, of course the idea is to go here to f7, but after black castles, this idea becomes invalid. You can't just take, okay? Two pieces are better than rook and a pawn, okay? So remember, when you come back to your own games, never move one piece way too many times like here, because this move turns out, after you analyze, to just be a waste of time. So this is the first thing that I wanted to touch on, which is to never move the same piece too many times. Let's now move to the next concept, the next mistakes that you need to avoid as a beginner. When I reviewed loads of games, is that they bring the queen too early into the game. And I'll show you an example. Let's say, for an example, pawn to e4, e5, knight to f3, another typical game, and then black does something like queen to f6, bringing the queen like this. Now, the reason that in most games and in most times, and I'm saying most times and not all the time, it's a mistake, because usually what white is gonna do with the opponent is he's gonna try and to attack it from every angle, forcing you to flee with it and just develop, okay? This is very typical when you bring the queen very early. And as you can see, computer already gives white as a 0.7 in advantage, which is already an example for it. In fact, if everyone is playing the top engine moves, then white is going to do knight to c3, okay? Black is gonna do also knight to c6, and then you're just going to attack, okay? Knight to d5. So your queen will have to go back, queen to d8, and you've just won two developed pieces over one. So this is an example for something you want to never do as a beginner. Never bring your queen too early, and if your opponent does, you want to try to attack it from as many angles as you possibly can. So remember, 1, never bring the queen too early into the game, and 2, never move the same piece twice in the game. let's now continue to the third thing that beginners need to fix and to exploit. So the third, and this one is very very important because it happens, and I guarantee that it happened to you as well. That is, let's assume here, this game, and the position is equal. As you can see, it's 0.2, not much of an advantage for either side, okay? Pawn moves to f3, okay? And the idea is quite obvious, to kick the bishop. Now, and this is the actual game, this is what actually happened here. And the players are at the level of 1000, okay? So I guarantee that if it happened to a 1000, if you're less than this, then this elo level, it happened to you. I guarantee it did. So here, of course, pawn to f3, and what happened in the game is bishop to e6, okay? And this misses, of course, being able to do this, to just fork these two pieces, and you're just in an advantage, okay? Now, I want you literally right now, just pause the video, go to the archive where you have all the games that you've played on whichever website you're playing in saved, and I want you to literally just see if this happens to you. Just like a one mover, and it costs you almost the entire game from the start, okay? I want you to do this, and if this happens to you, then I'm gonna show you right now how to fix it. So the way to solve a mistake like this is, before each move that you make, and it is very simple, is just ask yourself, if I make a move, if I make, let's say, in this position, bishop to e6, as the player made, is it a blunder? Is there something that my opponent could do that would put me in trouble, okay? And if you would have asked this first, if the player would have asked himself this question first before he made the move bishop to e6, he would have found out that yes, this is actually a blunder, because then my opponent could move a pawn and fork me. This is very simple, just ask yourself this, and then you would have come up with a solution, maybe moving the bishop back, maybe threatening. This is when your brain will just discard this move and move on to other moves that are not blunders like this one. Very very important that you fix this, because beginners, they don't really do this, so you can exploit this as a beginner to level up a lot. I actually mean a lot of levels. It's like very easily up to 1400, okay? From there it becomes a little bit more complicated, but this alone and avoiding the other two mistakes that we have talked about, this can really level you up very very fast. Never move a piece twice in the opening. 2, never bring a queen too early to the game. And 3, avoid this one mover mistakes. They're called tunnel vision, so avoid them at all cost. And the way to do this is to ask yourself before each move that you make, is it a blunder? Is it something that my opponent can exploit and use against me? Will it put me in trouble? And these have been the 3 most common mistakes that chess beginners make, and I'm gonna say, just like literally from my personal experience, when I've avoided these 3, when I've just stopped moving the same piece too many times in the opening and focused on developing, and the same as for the queen, never bringing the queen too early into the game, and I avoided completely any tunnel vision that could end up as a blunder. When I've done this, I had a spike in my elo, and I've leveled up all the way to literally 1400 in almost like a few months. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next time. If you wanna watch more content like this, so you can consider giving a subscribe. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye.